And a good morning to you, Lagos. It is 45 minutes gone past 6 today, Thursday, the 14th of June. It is time for Business Express. And in the studio this morning, I've got Rotus as usual. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Folu. Good morning, Lagos, and everybody out there.
Lagos, as we delve into the conversation this morning, remember to use the hashtag BusinessExpress981 while you are up on Twitter. This will help us read out your messages. And you can also send us additional messages to our WhatsApp number. It is 0809 444 0981. And don't forget, we're streaming on YouTube. Just search for Smooth FM at Lagos.
I almost wore my yellow Pele Brazilian shirt to commence the start of the World Cup. Would have matched with your thing on.
Yeah,
almost.
You were not focused. You were not in the spirit. You didn't listen to your heart.
The markets yesterday, stock market was down by 0.35%, closed at 39,031.72 points. So far this year, the market is up by 2%. 20 stocks gained in value, 22 lost value. Japan, what are they doing back here? Top gainer yesterday, up by 5%, closed at 36 kobo. Prestige was the top loser, down by 5% to 1 naira 52 kobo. We're at 362 naira to the dollar. I want to welcome Mr. Yomi Balogun of Stanbic. Yomi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I understand, Yomi, that you are. What do you do for Stanbic? Is it global markets?
Yeah, I work in global markets.
Perfect. So that means you cover U.S. stocks, Asia, Europe, the whole globe. You just go over everything.
Yeah, the whole globe, the whole of the world.
Perfect. Okay, so shall we look at inflation first, or would you like to discuss the Yuan swap? Shall we start with that?
Yeah, we can start with inflation.
Okay, cool. So I'm sure that we've decelerated, at least for May, down to 11.6% from what is it now, 12.4 in April. Good news. Yeah, headline and core and a couple other things that ease.
It's decelerating faster than most of the experts thought, because in-house, I think our view was that it would go to 12%. So 11.6 is quite a sharp drop. And the question is, are we going to see single digits this year?
Right.
It's a possibility.
You think so, huh?
At this rate.
And what about the MPC cutting rates? You think that might happen? I think the next meeting is July 23rd or so. 23rd, 24th. Do you think
No, I'm not really sure the cut rate, because there are other things that they're looking at in the economy. If you listen to the CBN governor at the last MPC, they had several concerns about the fact that the budget had not been signed and we hadn't started implementing the 2018 budget. And if it's signed, we have just about 6 months to implement the budget. That's a lot for a budget of 9 trillion.
Right.
So that would increase a lot of liquidity in the system. And you also have the fact that you're having elections next year. We always know that before an election year, there's a lot of spending.
Right.
Both by government and individuals. So that would bring in a lot of liquidity into the system. And typically the central bank would mop up liquidity. To do that, you believe that interest rates would probably rise.
Okay. So we'll have to see how that goes in the coming months. So let's get to this. Let's get to the latest on the Yuan swap. I have a view here from one particular. I just got an email from a number of brokerages out there. There's a view here. I just want to read this paragraph from this particular house. They're saying, we struggle to see the Nigeria-China 720 billion naira currency swap deal materially altering FX fundamentals. We do not believe it would have any appreciatory impact on the naira. Their model suggests that the 720 billion that's been made available from the swap will meet just 42% of FX demand for China imports and less than 9% of FX demand for total imports. They do see, however, that it's a good deal for manufacturers that are importing from China and so on. But as far as FX is concerned, they don't really see much of an impact. What's your view on as far as the swap is concerned, as we wait for details?
Well, I think it's a welcome development, because what it's going to do is going to shift the focus away from the US dollar to the renminbi. And if you see, like their statistics saying, we have quite a sizable amount of imports from China.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about the 9%, but I think it's a bit more than that.
Okay.
But I think that if we're importing from China and we're able to have a deal where the Nigerian importer of Chinese goods is not made to suffer what we call double whammy.
Okay.
Because right now what happens is that you want to import from China, you go to the auction, the CBN auction, you buy dollars. You have to convert the dollars to renminbi.
Right.
And so you do a cross again. So you're charged buying the dollars, you're charged buying the renminbi. So it's a double whammy. And it's made those goods more expensive than they should be. This swap is going to cut off at least one of those charges. Okay. So you're doing a straight Naira renminbi swap and renminbi trade, and that should bring down the costs of buying the currency.
Okay.
So for manufacturers and so on, which is one of the sectors that the central bank is always very, very particular about.
Right.
It's a priority sector because it's what you call the real sector of the economy. It drives employment, drives growth, drives GDP, etc. It has multiplier effects. Those are the guys that the central bank is always prioritizing in terms of FX.
Okay.
And so if it comes to them, at a cheaper rate or at a better rate, we expect that it will translate into the cost of production, it will translate into vamping up more industries and creating more employment, etc. So the swap itself, it's not just buying of the FX, that's the thing behind the swap. It's also about generating trade. It's also about making the cost of goods a bit more expensive and generating employment and so on.
Okay.
So it has far-reaching effects outside the size. This size, yes, it is small.
Right.
Compare the trade we have with China.
Okay.
I think it's small, and it probably is going to get used up pretty quickly. But like it said, it's just the first of maybe several steps, and if we get through this one successfully and it actually translates into better economies, then who says we won't do another one?
Another one, huh? Okay. All right. I like your optimistic take on that. I was thinking of using this message I got as a broadcast to combat the other one that was being sent out about how phones would drop to 10,000 naira coming from China. All right. We have let's see here. Okay. Bloomberg. I saw this very decent performance of our bonds over the first quarter. I said the headline here: "Park your money in Nigeria, a haven amid emerging market mayhem." Bloomberg is saying here that our bonds have performed a lot better than other emerging markets, at least the first quarter. And they're saying that when we compared to Argentina, compared to Turkey, and a number of other emerging market currencies who've been beaten pretty badly with what's been going on with the strengthening of the dollar, we've done decently, is what they're saying. And it's any thoughts on our performance there?
Oh, sure. Our bonds, government securities have always been, extremely attractive to foreign investors. The major problem a lot of them have had is the stability in exchange rates.
Right.
And we have actually, through the I&E window, been able to have much stability in the exchange rates. I believe over the past 9 months or so, we've still remained around 360 to the dollar.
Right.
And so that has made, because if you look at the report, they're talking about dollar terms. Yeah. So if your exchange rate goes wacky, your dollar term return is going to drop too.
Right.
But because our exchange rates have been stable, so the high yields or higher than other country yields that we experience gets translated directly into the dollar. And that's why, yes, it is a haven.
Okay, now I do want to use that to dovetail into this next piece here. I think this was from BusinessDay, and BusinessDay sent this out before the U.S. Federal Reserve made their decision last night, to hike rates. So the headline here says yields to rise as world's biggest central banks decide rates. So they're looking at the Bank of Japan. I think they're having their own central bank meeting today and tomorrow. The European Central Bank is having their meeting as well today and tomorrow. The U.S. just concluded theirs. So I think with the focus on the U.S., and I guess I'm not sure, perhaps maybe you look at this over on your desk. The rates, they decided to hike rates again, I think. But do you see that still having a further effect? Because if you've seen what with the markets and all this emerging market mayhem, we had our own bearish run on the stock market for like 11 days in the prior week. I don't know if this latest rate hike from the US has been priced in already, or if we're going to see a further funds flow outwards with the US hiking this rate. What your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, the hike has already been priced in.
Okay, you think it's been priced in,
From the beginning of the year, in fact, from last year, everybody, the signals had been that there would be hikes this year, and most people had agreed that the hikes would be like 4 hikes.
Right.
And we've done 2 right now, so we're targeting another 2.
Okay.
And definitely, market has priced in these hikes.
Okay, so there shouldn't be.
So we don't really expect any knee-jerk reaction because it's not unexpected. It's something the market is expecting.
Thankfully, the FOMC, they telegraph these things in their notes to the markets, right? I see we have messages.
Yes, we've got a couple of messages. Yinka says, Rotus, I'm beginning to have a headache on the left side of my head this morning over this pre-election year spending. Now, people keep saying there's lots of spending from the government and individuals the year before election year. Okay, for the government, I understand, because they will want to spend to look good and fool the potential voters. But my concern is on those individuals. What are they spending on? Buying votes? Because that's the only feasible thing. So I will appreciate it if you could amplify on this, says Yinka.
Yinka, money supply. Yomi, what do you think? I mean, I can't really speculate on what they're spending on, but I can't go into all of that. But from the economic side of things, isn't it? That's the inflation fear now.
Because look, politicians have to spend to get elected. So
right.
there are things that they have to do: buy campaign buses, buy posters, print posters, TV ads, and so on. That translates to spending. Now, some of them have cash abroad, which they would probably convert into naira and start spending locally, and that's where you have the individual spend. It's done everywhere. I mean, all the presidential candidates, even the US, they mobilize funds. They have fundraisers, they have campaigns to mobilize funds, and it's spending. So it's not necessarily saying, oh, they're buying votes.
Right.
No, they are trying to project themselves into the political stratosphere, so to speak, and so they have to spend to do that.
Media work is expensive, guys.
Indeed.
Short class.
I expect a lot of those dollars changing to naira.
Campaign dollars. Interesting. Well, Frank asks very quickly if we can discuss or talk about the Fed rate hike yesterday.
Yeah, well, I think we just mentioned that already.
Well, Kenny Atuge says the currency swap deal seems interesting, but the trade imbalance between the two countries is a major issue. So how do we play fair when China pays us in naira for our oil? Yomi, the trade imbalance. I mean, we can't see that changing anytime soon. Now we just import so much from them.
Yes, the only major export we have to China is oil, actually.
Yeah.
So that's not going to change until we vamp up our non-oil exports.
Right.
And we do commodities a lot. How much that is of the China-Nigeria trade, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But those are our major exports. And until we begin to send more of those exports into China, that trade imbalance is going to remain.
Yomi Balogun of StanbicIBTC in global markets. I'm hoping that you come back. We can discuss me sending you guys to buy US stocks for me and our viewers. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time. And guys, thanks for your messages. Love your messages. Thank you.
Absolutely appreciate all of you. Coming up next, Frankly Speaking with Muyiwa Afolabi, and then at 7:30, well, it's detailed newspaper analysis inside of Freshly Pressed. Good morning.
The headlines.
We got through it. Thank you so much.